Gundams. Whatever your opinion on them is, you're probably right. I've been kind of wanting to get into Gundam ever since I got this starter Gundam model kit, and been wanting to get a bigger one since this was actually fun to make. This is basically, if I had to describe it in simple terms, better Legos, and you don't have to glue them or paint them like Warhammer figures, which is why I still haven't gotten into that hobby. The only issue is, I know nothing about Gundam, and I kind of feel weird about getting into a hobby that is based on an anime I know nothing about. Of course, I've seen plenty of mechs in anime before, but that's not what I'm talking about. I want to know what the hype around Gundam is. The original Mobile Suit Gundam. I mean, there's so many different series and it's starting to look like the Fate universe. The only difference being that Gundam has a plot. So I originally tried getting into it by watching the original Gundam, which felt like a glorified kids show. I know what you're thinking, but I only watched like 2 episodes and I couldn't bear through it. And then went from series to series, watching 1 episode and losing interest since I watch anime based on the 1 episode rule. Since if it can't captivate me in some way in the first episode, it's shit. One Piece had me in the first episode, so no other anime can make excuses. Naruto and Bleach are also ones that got my attention in the 1 episode, but Dragon Ball... shit. But after going from first episode to first episode, one caught my attention and reeled me in, and that being Mobile Suit Gundam Blooded Orphans. It captivated me so much that I watched all 25 episodes that day, because anime was made for binging. Now, before I tell you about my experience with the anime, let me give you a little precursor to this series, or a summarization of the Gundam timeline up until this one-off series. So basically, there was a war happening for hundreds of years, and humans are going extinct, because every sci-fi future has to have a war of some kind. So after hundreds of years of conflict, some humans met together to form an organization named Gjallarhorn. Yeah, they named it after a rocket launcher from Destiny. I don't know why they did that. But they did this because they wanted to stop humans from killing themselves and bring world peace. So they made 72 Gundams because the robots that were used up until now were called mobile suits, but now these are Gundams, hence the name Mobile Suit Gundam. Now, why 72 Gundams? Well, that's because if you take 7, divide it by 2, you get 3.5. Now take that 5 and flip it upside down, you get another 2. Then take that 3, rotate it 90 degrees, and you get a drawing of butt cheeks, which is a funny joke. Moving past the joke, we then take this dot, stretch it out, and get a subtraction sign, which we then put between the 2's to then get the answer of 0, which is the human death rate Gjallarhorn wants. It's honestly very simple. So once they make these 72 Gundam frames, they then stop the Calamity War. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, it's called the Calamity War. I feel like every big war in anime is always called the Calamity War, or the Calamity, or no more masturbation time. World-ending stuff, honestly. But after the war is stopped, they form a one-world power run by different political parties. They then outlaw Gundams because they are really harmful to the pilots' bodies. We get to see this when the main character loses the ability to use his right eye and right hand. He drew too much power from the Gundam, and now he can only use them while he's piloting the Gundam. Eventually, though, the one-world power then becomes corrupt, and now regions outside of Earth are being treated unfairly and wants rights, since racism isn't cool. All other Mobile Suit series take place either before, during, or after the war. Blooded Orphans are set in the time after, which makes more sense than having a separate war every 69 years, only to bring back the same fucking characters even though there are so many to choose from. Who gives a shit if it's explained or not? The only good fate is Fate Zero, and I don't care what you think. But Bruce, Unlimited Blade Works. Shut it. If you like Unlimited Blade Works, well, sorry to say, you're a femboy. No offense to femboys. Oh, look what I got in the mail. That's right, I bought the Gundam kit from Blooded Orphans since I finished the show, and God was it sick. Now before I tell you why it's cool and why you should check it out for yourself, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe since it helps me to get recommended to more people. And hey, you can always unsubscribe later. Well, that's all from me now, back to the video. Mobile Suit Gundam Blooded Orphans is about orphans who are basically slaves who are given a chance and rise up and take over the facility they work for and make their own company. Since they are part of a poor area on Mars, they need money, so they then take a dangerous job to transport Udelia Bernstein, who is a voice of freedom on Mars, to Earth. Which, spoiler, they pull it off, saving orphans, slaves, which are called human debris, and, well, your everyday 9-to-5 employee, and get them better health insurance and rights. Hell yeah, Ford F-150s for everyone. But now, let me tell you about the more interesting aspects of the show, starting with the main character, Mikazuki. Mika is best described as a soldier. At first, when we're watching the show, I just thought this man was crazy. He has no emotion. What a psychopath. He literally kills a man without letting him say his last words because he was told to kill him, so he doesn't care. He on that grind set. But as you get to see him longer, you understand that he does care. It's just that he is unfazed by death since he's a soldier. As said by Mika himself, you can see the dead while you're dead. He thinks this way since he can't stop until he gets to the place Orga promised when they were children. His best friend said that he'd take them to the place where they belong, and he has been following him ever since. The place they belong is undetermined, but if they survive long enough, they just might get to that better place. Orga, being a teenager, is tasked with leading everyone to this better place, but they have to fight in order to get there, and what's crazy is that their entire company is child soldiers.
Holy shit. Hey, that looks like that's what's gonna come out to be. That's a lot. And then that's the rest. And then that's also left over from making it. I gotta see if I can position it.
The whole child soldier act has been a thing in many anime now. One thing I disagree with in this anime is when Meribit said that children tend to hide their emotions, which is so wrong. That's backwards. Children are open. It's not till we are adults that we learn to hide our emotions because it's the grown-up thing to do, apparently. But also, since this anime surprised me on how good it was, I started to think about the modern age and the state that we are raising our children. Personally, I don't know if I ever will raise a child. What seems to have happened is after generations of children saying they'll raise their children better than their parents raised them, we then end up with children that are spoiled and caused a pandemic. No, not that pandemic. I'm talking about the Fortnite kid pandemic. Due to not having proper discipline and by giving your kid a phone before the age of 12, you have in turn spoiled that kid. That child will never be allowed to appreciate the world around them properly. When you grow up playing in the woods, nature itself is satisfying to you, but now why leave the house? You have enough serotonin every second of every day to be satisfied. Before, a kid could just sit outside looking at the sun and just watch, and probably go blind from looking at the sun. You don't really see that now, and if you do, it lasts like a minute and then they go to needing that constant serotonin. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that kids suck. Here's a question. Would you punt a baby? If the answer was yes, congratulations. You have just gotten a one-way ticket to a mental hospital.
Look at this. This part moves. I don't know why, but it means that, oh my god, the capsule will open when the robot is done, letting Mikey out. I'm nothing right now. I am literally nothing. Oh my god.
On the note of mental hospitals are where our next contestant belongs. Please welcome to the stage, McGillis. This guy is insane, crazy, badonkers. Let's sum up what he did. Used his love interest as cannon fodder for his own goal, then used his best friend's friend as more cannon fodder, then proceeds to kill his own friend for his own agenda while not even flinching, then marries his sister for political power. This man is a true psychopath, and what he did was wrong morally, but what he did was also necessary to make a better world in the long run. I really didn't know how to feel since the entire time this man had ice in his veins while swishing threes right after shooting the point guard in the kneecaps. McGillis is one of those characters who is insane, but for some reason, he has a point. McGillis brought up his philosophy that your future will always be predetermined if you can't accept the past, since every decision you make will be made to fix your past mistakes, which makes sense. If you actually want freedom to make your own future, then you have to just accept your past, or you'll only end up moving towards a preordained future, which is why his future and everything he did was preordained just for him to fix his anger with the past. This is the reason he also ends up helping Tekkadan, which is the Orphans company they work for, because he believes that they're the only ones actually creating their own futures in the modern age. Also, if an anime has a character that is a mentally insane psychopath that makes good points, then that anime is automatically good. Let's be honest.
Wrong leg already. We locked in. Number 2. Oh, now look at this. We literally, I like how these Mechs are literally like, dang. Okay, so I think just for,
going into this anime, I thought the plot is what needed to drive me through the show, because to me, mechs in anime have always been lackluster. I never really thought they were cool, because in my head, if someone uses a gun, that means they're not cool, they're weak. I'd rather watch some badass like Baki or Garo beat the shit out of someone with their chiseled physique, literally stopping bullets with punches. I always thought mechs were for weak people who couldn't fight otherwise. That's why I never really vibed with them. But after watching the show, I legitimately started getting hyped watching robots go at it. Not in a sexual way, I mean fighting wise, like your mom and dad wrestling in bed at midnight, kinda fighting. But I don't know why I was finding myself getting hyped because, well, I can't explain it. The animation, I guess, and the way they slowly built up the hype around mobile suits, only to reveal Gundams are stronger, and then you're telling me they installed a special way to connect them, which involved surgery to put sensors in your spine, and then you're telling me that the main character got the surgery 3 times with a lower success rate each time, and he did it just because he wants to be strong enough to protect his friends? Well, now I'm hyped. Nothing like 2 big guys throwing their metal around. Oh my god, look at that cool sword, holy shit!
like you can see the scope from there now because it's like,
Let's talk about harems, shall we? This guy right here, Nas, when the characters meet him, they ask why he is the only guy on his ship, to which he replies all the other crew on the ship are his wives, because it's his harem. This man has a harem with multiple wives and has a kid with each of them. You know, before watching this, I was like, men with multiple wives are gross. But now I understand. It takes the right type of people to be in that sort of relationship, and if they are the right type of people, they can have a really loving relationship, surprisingly. Now, just because I'm saying men having multiple wives is okay, I'm not saying you can treat them like cattle. I'm also saying women can have multiple husbands, but once again, only if they are the right kind of people. And Nas is that Chad. He comforts all his wives and cares for all of them equally. And after watching this, I can honestly say he's that guy. George Risington, certified G. I mean, this man had me thinking maybe I could be his wife. This was a bit of a weird video to make since I don't really have anything profound to say about the show, and it's kind of just a review and a way for me to get into a hobby. I do hope you enjoyed it though. Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below and what you think about Gundam as a whole. Also, like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you haven't already. That's all for me this week. Have a good rest of your day. This is Spruce, signing off.